Good evening. I'm Sandy McLeod, Executive Director of MusicComp. I'm pleased to have you all in the audience this evening. You're in for a delightful concert. We've had a wonderful afternoon of rehearsals and workshops, and our musicians are raring to go. They don't like pictures, but they're raring to go for their first number. Let me thank some of our sponsors first. We're thrilled that we have some new sponsors, J Peak Resorts, Wick and Maddox, attorneys at law. Another new sponsor is Community National Bank, and we're pleased to have the Gilt Edge. We have a number of sponsors listed in our program. We're thrilled that the list is growing. Our program runs based on our school participation fees, but we also need individual and business donations. And so we appreciate anything you might like to donate at the end of the concert or through mail. There's an envelope in your program for you. I will introduce the instrumentalists as they come on. Right now we have Chris Rivers, trumpet, and Jason Whitcomb, trumpet, Lori Salamando Porter on trombone, Joy Warland, our French horn player, and Bill Keck has returned for a stint on tuba. Later you'll meet several of the other instrumentalists. This evening I'm assisted by the announcement with two of our students, and one is Cece Daigle, who you'll meet in a moment, and Justin Gates.
The first piece is Klingt das Blech by Jacob Morton Black, a senior at Colchester High School. Jacob writes, "This piece is scored for brass quintet. The opening is a simple-sounding fanfare, growing more complex in rhythm and harmony. The fanfare builds until it reaches the ending, slower and quieter, where it restates the theme in a major feeling and ends the piece."
Dalen Ruza from Barnett School shares his idea for his composition. The wolf's hunt is analogous to, obviously, a wolf pack hunting. The beginning is a stalk, the pack quietly gathering and honing in on their prey, a group of deer. Then the wolves chase the unlucky deer, bringing it down. The piece finishes with a triumphant march.
Confabulate, to talk casually or to chat, or to fill in gaps in one's memory with fabrications that one believes to be facts. Rebecca Hamill, a senior at Harwood Union High School, wrote Confabulation for trombone and tuba. This duet for trombone and tuba is a friendly conversation. The melody starts in the trombone, though the tuba is often finishing the trombone's ideas. With the constant back and forth exchange of ideas and the trading and filling in of the melody, this is a true musical confabulation.
Andrew Brooks, a sixth grader from the grammar school, tells us about the King's Arrival March. It's a piece with a xylophone, trombone, tuba, and snare drum. I wanted to sound like a king's march as he's arriving at a big event. Also, I wanted to seem like the event is a grim one, such as a funeral. The key is in G minor. I think the key plays a huge role in shaping the song.
Brother Brother was written by Tyler Waters, a senior at George Mason High School in Falls Church, Virginia. Tyler Skyped into his rehearsal earlier today with the musicians and will view the DVD of the concert when released. In the piece, the xylophone and glockenspiel interact with each other in a brotherly way, sharing motifs, crisscrossing rhythms, and feeding off one another in general. This is Tyler's first piece for percussion ensemble.
Twinkle in the Night is co-composed by Ivy Dahl and Gwyneth Thompson, 6th graders at the grammar school. We chose glockenspiel, xylophone, and piano because we wanted our piece to be unique and wanted our instruments to sparkle. We imagine the twinkling stars in the sky, and the xylophone and glockenspiel illustrate this. The piano illustrates the dark black sky and adds an element of darkness to our piece.
Hello everyone. As Sandy said, my name is Sac Sheets. I'm an alumnus of the program. I go all the way back to Opus 4. Some of the same musicians who are on stage now were playing that day too. I also serve now as a composer mentor with MusicComp. I'm studying composition and conducting at Harvard University, preparing to go on next year to graduate school in music performance as a flutist and as a composer. And I think the important thing to remember about MusicComp is that even though there are those of us who go on in music, there are just as many who don't, and so many who go on to other things. And while there's certainly a lot of musical lessons you get out of the MusicComp program, both intellectual, musical, cognitive development, how to craft a piece of art, how to make a musical work, there are just as many lessons you get from all spectrums of interacting with other people, of being with professional musicians. From the process in the classroom, you learn how to give feedback to your peers, how to tell them something you think could be improved, something you think could be better in a mature and professional way. You learn to work on the site with mentors, and you get to receive criticism and receive feedback and learn to deal with it in a way that's objective and teaches you to be better and teaches you to stay in the driver's seat, as it were, with your own learning, but still be open to what other people have to say. And these are not easy things, and I think they're things we all work on for a lot of our life. Too, working with the professional musicians, you have a sense of being at once a student and a leader. As everyone's gotten up there, there's been this moment where they finished playing the first time through and turned to the student and said, well, okay, now what? You tell us. And there's this great moment of, as they realize that they're in control and they're in charge too at the same time. And switching back and forth between these two roles is no easy task. Which I guess is to say that the process of MusicComp from beginning to end is a kind of learning how to learn, which, if I can say so, is really what I think a lot of life is about. And this opportunity is exceptionally rare. The largest cities in the US, Boston, Chicago, New York, San Francisco, have programs to teach composition very often as part of universities, weekend classes for high school students, for middle school students in theory and composition, but living where it is that we all want to live in Vermont, a considerably more rural place, there aren't nearly so many opportunities for learning music, so what MusicComp provides is a really incredible opportunity. But unfortunately, we don't benefit from some of the same institutional support that a lot of those organizations do, and what we rely on is individual donors. So I think I speak for all of the alumni who are here tonight, all of the current students, when I say that I would really ask you to think about making an investment so that the next students who come along have all of the same opportunities that we had, all of the same opportunities to grow as musicians, to learn how to learn, that all of us cherish and all of us value and will for the rest of our lives.
Miranda Fuller, a 6th grader at the grammar school, wrote Blackbirds as a deep, meaningful piece. The melody was made up by my 6-year-old cousin who lives in Putney with me. Blackbirds is in the key of A minor to sound more eerie and deep. It also reminds me of an Indian song or Hitchcock's movie, The Birds.
Colette Anton and, forgive me, Sophie Basishu, 8th graders at the grammar school, tell us Missing You is in the key of C major and includes a 2-measure introduction. Then we have slow verses and a fast reggae chorus, which includes a rap. Our song is about loss and pain and having your heart broken.
A Change from what's printed in your program brings Entertainment in F Major by Alex Wick next. Alex is a 4th grader at Champlain Elementary School. He writes, I decided to call my piece Entertainment because it sounded like a person being entertained with someone or something. I started creating this piece thinking of someone whistling. Then I made some changes and it started to sound like being entertained. I added F major because it's in F major.
Migration was written by Gracie Childs, a sixth grader at the grammar school. She explains her work. Migration travels between the key of A minor and the key of C major. I chose the piano because my dad, brother, and sister all play the piano. When I was younger, I played too. I named my piece Migration because it reminds me of the birds flying away for the long, cold winter.
Christmas Morning is by Iker Heron, a sixth grader at the grammar school. My piece reminds me of Christmas because at the beginning it is cheerful, kind of like when you're running downstairs to the Christmas tree to see the presents. When it gets to the kind of sad part, it may be that you didn't get a present you wanted or there isn't any snow.
Timna Zinnett, a senior from Randolph Union High School, wrote slow jazz for brass and piano for two trumpets, trombone, and piano. She tells us, I always like how brass sounds in jazz and in layers of chords, and I have tried to create some music where there is a slow, jazzy, and minor blues sounding feel.
I've been with Music Comp officially just since maybe October, the beginning deadline for this Opus concert. But I did a workshop, a string quartet workshop over the summer that was sponsored by Music Comp. The mentoring process, for me, it focused me in on the important aspects of the piece that I always look very large at first, and I put in a lot of superfluous music a lot of the time, stuff that's repetitive or unnecessary, and working with mentors helps me root out really what's important and what conveys the message of the music that I'm trying to write. And that's what the Music Comp has given me, because out of the mentoring process too, you begin to develop sort of that critical thinking of how to sort of take out the themes and cut out what you don't need, and really focus down. And two, get to the nitty-gritty stuff, like not doing things that aren't against the rules per se, but things that don't necessarily help you. They help you be the strongest you can be.
Gibbous, a study of the moon for brass quintet. Justin Gates, a senior at Missisquoi Union High School, writes, "This piece is a musical examination of the gibbous moon. It is meant to capture, through the medium of brass quintet, the majesty, intrigue, power, awe, and ominousness of the waxing moon, almost full, but not quite so. Gibbous is an indulgence in my own fascination of what the musical sounds of life could be, and is dedicated to my young cousins Max, Parker, Owen, and Ella, as a mirroring of the wonderment of a child at the moon."
Rats and Bats and Violet Eyes was written by Cecilia Daigle, a senior at Harwood Union High School. Rats and Bats and Violet Eyes began as a rough sketch of something that might one day be a decent piano piece. Now it's a solid brass quintet in honor of a favorite literary character of mine. Within the fantastical world of the Underland Chronicles by Suzanne Collins, there are giant rats, bats, and all the people have violet eyes.
Adele Woodmansey, a junior at North Country Union High School, describes brass trio in G major. This starts with a slow, heavy section and then moves to a faster section with a short motif. It ends again with a slow section. I was not inspired by anything in particular, but wanted to write a piece with two contrasting sections and an obvious motif.
Song for Grace is by Sage Green, a sophomore at North Country Union High School. My piece went from the jazzy ragtime to a more serious minor section, and ending with the same sort of melody used at the start of the piece. I used a sort of question and answer technique in the beginning. The inspiration I had for this piece was actually from my great-grandmother who passed away in the spring. When I would visit her in her days before her illness, she would sometimes sit down at the piano and play me these great ragtime tunes that were from way back from when she was just a young adult.
Is a senior at George Mason High School in Falls Church, Virginia. She also Skyped in this afternoon for her rehearsal with our pianist. Here is her piece, Historiography. As I've always been an avid whistler, I came up with a melody for the A section relatively quickly while whistling fragments of melodic phrases to myself. From there, I decided to mimic the rondo structure of a Mozart piece I had recently revisited. Finally, as this is the first piece that I've written, I felt most comfortable writing it for the instrument that I know best, the piano.
piano piece for Opus. I was kind of a sudden inspiration. I was just sitting down at my piano, and I got a simple melody, and I just developed on it, and it became a piece. The title of the piece is Nella trance di un sogno. It's Italian for In the Trance of a Dream, and the whole feeling of the piece is dreamlike, ethereal, and I just thought in Italian it just sounded so much more of how the piece felt, and I thought it fit nicely. And the first stage, it was just maybe 30 seconds long, but once I had it on the computer, I began to elongate, and I kind of got into the stage where it lost its original feel, and it was like 4 or 5 pages long, and it had big chords, and it was really big, and it wasn't what the piece was meant to be, and so I had to cut out a lot, and it stayed true to what I originally wanted it to be. It was actually my mentor who suggested to take out all that unwanted stuff, and I was shocked because I was just so used to hearing it, and it was the piece to me. That was the piece at this time, but I really didn't want to listen to him. But thankfully I did, and I took out all the stuff, and it just changed the whole entire piece. Well, the first time I heard David here play the piece, I was shocked at how beautiful. He put so much expression into it, and I don't know, I guess when I play it, I hear it on the computer. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I just hear it how just like computerized, and when he plays it, he put so much emotion and feeling into it, and it just sounded like a completely different piece, and it was just so gorgeous.
Nella Trance di un sogno by Jonas Slatzman is a junior at North Country Union High School, is in the trance of a dream, a piano piece written in F minor that has a dark yet ethereal mood. With an arpeggio-like motif in the left hand and a delicate melody in the right hand, this piece creates a dreamlike atmosphere in which you can find yourself in a peaceful reverie.
was written by Jessica Nielsen, a 6th grader at Rutland Intermediate School. I had an idea in mind basing this idea on the Hunger Games. I'd like the horn in the beginning to sound like they're getting ready for the reaping, and every time a drum makes a loud sound is when the cannon fires.
Ivan Voynov is a senior at the Vermont Common School. He wrote Burning Seasons into Dust and describes it. The skies are becoming gray, reflecting the faces of the soulless men walking the streets in search of light, in search of a final bit of color. Their eyes empty, their hands shaking, their bodies warped into either sluggish, corpulent contortions or into walking skeletons, either eager to pounce on anyone who can offer happiness. The seasons are burning to dust as men turn to ashes.
concert with a work by Nathan Chan, a junior at U32 High School. This ballad for brass and percussion can be imagined as the soundtrack to a delusional fantasy. The piece depicts a moment that is greatly coveted but can never truly happen. There is no specific image associated with the melody, but attention should be given to how it adapts, which should allow a listener to synthesize a delusion of their own.
I just wanted to say thank you all for coming. I'm another alumni of Music Comp. I had a piece in Opus 1, and it's such a pleasure to hear all these musicians and all these young composers. I wanted to thank the musicians we've had again. It's a long day for them, and they do a really great job. And also to thank the woman that really puts all of this together. And it's a bit of a thankless job considering the amount of work she puts into making all this happen, coordinating with all of the schools, music teachers, musicians, mentors, and that's Sandy McLeod. To all the composers, musicians, music teachers that are prioritizing this in their programs, and I hope you enjoyed the evening of world premieres. And please consider giving on your way out to the donation box. Thank you.